right, so in this one, I want to watch this video from Garesh and Ryuden. Obviously, there's no content. There's nothing for me to do. The game's ass terribly right now because everything that's going on within overtuning of this, the automatic of this, the leader slapping of this. It's just not a good time. It's not a good place to be. You don't want to be playing this game right now. Most times you don't, but right now it's really bad. This video, skill issue. I mean, I feel like a lot of people have one. I know I have one, so why not react to it and see what the hell the discussion is here.
Hey guys, so as I've mentioned in some previous videos, this week is incredibly dead.
It's okay, Garish. The week will get better when we get a Legend Purple Gotopo that annihilates Mr. Green Broly you see there, that murders the entire lineage of fun that you could have right now. And in turn, you run him on leader slop with UVB, and the game becomes perfect yet again. It's okay.
Well, the Jiren unique equip dropped. I ran into him actually a few times the first day he came out, and then subsequently I've ran into him 0 times. I think people are starting to catch on that he's just not very effective right now.
Yep.
And then that's it. We didn't have anything else this week. That's all we got.
Why does he hate Dispo Zenkai so much? I don't understand. Is there a narrative on Dispo? It's like Metal Cooler. He just doesn't like him. I don't really track this. What did Dispo do to this man? He's just a rabbit, bro. He's just a wannabe Beerus. He's all right. Better than Jiren, I'd say. The fuck does it matter compared to the best of the best? Nothing. He's still getting fucking, fucked. But still, like, he ain't the worst thing, bro. We've had worse. It's not Red Kale.
There was
Low
no
bar.
Senkai. Nothing at all.
Wow.
Okay.
So mean to the guy. What do you mean?
So yeah, I mean, this is the whole reason why we're doing a video like this is we are kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here for content, but
We're all scraping bottom barrel. That's why I'm reacting to a video that literally has no even thought of what it could be in my eyes. Because what even is a skill issue question mark video about to be when it's seemingly a discussion video? I don't know what the fuck's even going to be here at all.
just a discussion piece. We have Rai here. We were thinking about making this a 2-parter, but we don't think there's enough content to squeeze out a second video. Maybe if you want to do a separate video on your channel discussing anything, let me know. We'll just tack that on as a part 2 to this or something.
I just think we can get the main talking point pretty quickly. I don't want it to drag on really. But yeah.
Yeah. So essentially the topic of this video is going to be, I guess the best way to summarize it is just the lowering of the skill ceiling in this game gradually over the course of the past 2-ish years.
This game has not had skill. Because, good, I'm glad this is the video. I'm glad this is what this is about. The lowering of the skill ceiling. New Ultra, automatic. New Ultra, again, automatic. It's not even like pretending they're automatic. It's not like you just like enter, then you spam cards, then like that's automatic. Like, is that brain dead? No, that's not even automatic. It's just so autopilot to where there's legitimately no cause for concern. If someone ran a triple automatic team of all these automatics from the anniversary, you probably would win more than you'd ever lose compared to someone that's actually playing better than you. And it's like, we're dumbifying. Like, we're pulling a Dokkan. Like, we're PvEing. I feel like I'm playing PvE with all the cutscenes, with all the infinite automatics and all. It's disparaging. As someone that's been on this for way too long of a game, it's disheartening to see, like, here's Legend Rose who incentivizes gameplay, and then here's Legend Broly that can fucking dick him down in the fucking edge of the fucking bedroom, and it's like, oh, like, all Broly did was just get hit 5 times, and then he fucking, there it is, kaboom everywhere. Like, it's just fucking, it's terrible. It's terrible. And there's ways to do these kind of characters properly where it's like Buhan, and it's like Buhan has negatives to where you actually don't feel that big, fuckery sense. Very good adjectives I have here, but you don't feel that as bad because there's less safety merits within that character, and then it's more like you earn it or earn your automatic. You work for it more so. And compared to like a Broly type or a Budu or UGB, you literally incentivize losing more than you incentivize winning, and it's like, that losing turns into winning because you were losing so bad, and it's like, what the fuck am I doing here?
I think it really
for a PvP game that's not PvP.
I'll lay the groundwork for the discussion, and I'll let you give your opinion first. I think this really started with the new design philosophy, right before the 7th anniversary. I think...
So you telling me DKP was part of the big problem of skill issue? I agree. DKP is a big skill issue.
we started
the
out
king.
with decent character abilities, right? We didn't have these like super like okay. A good example of this is we just go and pull up like the 7th anniversary characters. Let's pull up part 1, UI Goku and Vegeta. So let's go.
Vegeta
boom,
incentivized
boom.
gameplay. UI
We can
Goku
take a look at some of these
incentivized.
mechanics now. Again,
UI
I wouldn't
Goku.
really say that these are overly complex. A lot of when you actually break down what a lot of these mechanics are doing, it's just very basic, right? When on battlefield, you get these effects when the enemy uses a card. Based on how many cards you use, here's the buffs that you get. And that's really it. There's like nothing really complex or overly broken or anything like that in these kits. Like it's just very, very straightforward. And then we fast forward to, I don't know, let's take a look at like 17 and Golden Frieza or future Gohan and Trunks, and it's like we're already back to the point where there's just the actual like length of the unique abilities are not that long. They're not that much longer than they were a year ago. But when you consider all the different mechanics that these characters have, every character basically has a second life mechanic. Every character's got subcount reduction. Every character's got a second life. Every character has type neutral defense.
I feel like this kind of ties into the skill thing, not to the regard I feel like he's trying to say of like, I feel like people, when you correlate skill thing, you're thinking of like automatic. Literally, you're thinking of like there's less skill because there's more automatic shit. This is another spectrum of it where it's like everyone just does everything as well. You know, you look at UI Goku. Okay, UI Goku used 6 cards, then he got his full ramp up of damage, and then boom, UI Goku does his damage, and then he dies. Okay, cool, great, awesome. He's a tedious piece of shit because he just stands stills and, again, incentivizes nothing play, and that's still a problem, but it's a simplistic nature of a problem. It's a very counterable problem. These dickheads nowadays are doing 1, 2, 8,000 billion things that are like just intangibilities of foreverness. Every unit in the game has canceled buff effects since new philosophy. Every unit in the game is defense neutral, so having overall advantage where they make it where like legend units are meant to be this type of advantage thing is really important to them because they get even more damage than the typical damage inflicted, as damage inflicted is because they're legend, specifically only legend, and there's only so many. We only have like 10 or something around there. They make it where that's supposed to be like your big, hard hitting factor or something for you, and then in turn it becomes, well, everyone has defense neutral a billion zillion counts, so you'll never actually experience this. So it's like, why does that even exist? Everyone in the game, most part, has like a support type of ability, whether it be giving key, giving damage, giving whatever. It's just more so all already done for you, and all you have to do is just click the buttons. You don't have to play for this smart thing of like, oh, well, my team doesn't have this cancel buff on this team because every new unit does, and, I have to play for UVB's rush setting because he's older and he's buffed and he's new and he's great now because he has his buff. But like his older setting of kit, I don't have to play around it because everyone in the game has a cancellation for it, so it's like, oh, it doesn't even fucking affect me. And UVB is a very simplistic, toxic unit within its simplicity because overtuned he is, but in turn, his mechanic of being so simplistic makes it where he should be easier counterable. But because he's so overtuned, you don't get to experience that. But in turn, because these characters are so overtuned, you don't actually get to experience more, and you're just in turn doing really nothing within it. It's all just automated, and you're not doing something where you have to use thought. Your thought isn't really productive in this game. You're just kind of a vessel for the game automatically doing for you. It needs to be the opposite, where the game's the vessel, and then you'd play into it, and then you'd have mechanics where you have to be safe or use your brain and figure shit out. Now, it's all just there. You're all just given. You're given a billion get me out of jail free cards in this game right now, and it's like, we don't need that. We don't need to lower the IQ of people that you're on a gotcha mobile game. Your IQ can't be that high anyways. We're lowering even more by making it where everything's just fucking done for you. And it's been like this for over a year.
Every character
it's
has
not going to
card
stop.
destruction. Every character has key reduction. There's like a bunch of mechanics that exist on all these characters that you pretty much have to have every time a new premium release comes out because it's just the foundation of how the game works. And that, in my opinion, is really what they tried to get away from when they introduced the new design philosophy. They're like, okay, we recognize that basically every single release is a...
By the way, units still infinite combo very much, especially tag units notoriously. You get overdrive and you're infinite comboing, which the literal entire premise of new philosophy was one of the main points was you combo too long. You got to stop fucking hitting the guy. Like, you got your combo, get your shit done, move on. You could literally do that with multiple units right now. Like, on intent.
The same character. There's just
it's stupid.
15 to 20% difference in what these characters are actually bringing to the table, and we want to avoid that. And that's why they started, introducing the new design philosophy and trying to make these characters kind of more unique in what they're able to offer to the teams that they're on. But in just the span of a little bit over a year, it just feels to me like we're already back to a point where all of these characters are just able to do so much. And again, this is something that I've talked about previously, but it's in combination with the way that the battle system works, where not only do all these characters have so many different mechanics that they're able to pretty much cover all the bases at all times, but the way the battle system works right now, again, it really does stem back to that battle system 2.7 update where you lose vanish for backing up and stuff like that. You
incentivizes non-play.
Can't really backfloat as effectively. You kind of are forced into mid-range or melee range most of the time, which in theory it sounds fine, but restricting movement, you have a lot of these battle system changes where when you combo for too long, your character's sub counts don't go down. And again, there's just a lot of restrictions on what these characters are able to do. And
in some degree, these restrictions he's mentioning, by the way, are good. You shouldn't have your sub count going down if you're infinite comboing, and like that's usually like that's intended for like someone using like a weaker unit, right? They're using like Transforming Super Saiyan Goku and TVB, and they're just trying to be a dickhead and just infinite, and like they'll do no damage, but they'll just infinite you to that point, and then it's like it's just nullifying that existence from being in your presence, which that's like a good workaround for it, technically speaking, but I feel as though that's a positive more than a negative. I think he's kind of correlating that to a negative because it's restriction, but like some things need restrictions. You shouldn't be able to do a zillion billion things just because you got one situation for yourself. And it's like, well, that's the flip on the head of the match. And it's like a 180 time count match, and you got one thing that went your way, and now you just automatically win because you got your one long combo setting. And it's like, well, now a guarantee kill happens. From there, everything spirals because once you lose somebody before someone else does, you most likely just lose at that point.
And when you compound on top of the battle system restrictions, a lot of what these characters are doing on the defensive side, disrupt wise, a lot of units are increasing sub counts. Every unit, again, has card destruction, key reduction, main ability ceiling, rising rush ceiling, blue card ceiling. There's just, to me, it feels like everything is just aggregating to be too restrictive for the player. And
I'd
so
say
I
more
think
movement.
everything combined, that has...
But the restriction also being that you get everything done for you. The restriction is that you don't actually have to do much to do anything in this game. That's the biggest restriction. I see it. And I feel like clearly he's mentioning that, but that's a bigger restriction than the movement. The movement's definitely big, but I'd still say, again, if you're giving infinite units, infinite everything's like, that's a bigger problem than like I can't fucking move back and kind of like meander play style and fix up what I'm gonna do. That's definitely something, but I would say it's less. It still matters.
Contributed heavily to the amount of choices being offered to the player being heavily reduced to how it used to be. It just feels that at any given time, you are presented with like at most 2 to 3 different choices for the next action you can take might be. Whereas prior to this, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you had, 7, 8, 9 different options you could choose from at any given point because the game was much more free. It was less restricted. That's what I've felt recently, and I think it's just been getting worse as time has been going on, right? I think the introduction of legend characters has been, I think it's overall has been good, but the introduction of the legend rarity, it seems to me like they are trying to make sure that these legend characters are more close in power level to the ultra releases. And so every time they release a new character, whether it's a legend or an ultra, there is kind of more of a competitive sphere between the units. It's not always like, okay, this character's a one-up of the previous character. Okay, this character's a one-up of the previous character.
Even in turn with this, yeah, sure, legend is more comparable to ultra than Legends Limited was. Okay, that's logical. It should be the case. But again, the whole like real aspect of what legend is notably meant to be is that I'm this purple, I'm fighting this green, I'm doing more than even someone that's a normal purple of ultra or sparking or EX or hero would be doing. And you just don't really feel that significance for a lot of the time because everyone has such everything's that's going on. So it's like the notability of what legend is meant to be, the big thing they mention within it, and they always will add and they always have on their kits, is that 1.75x, 2 type disadvantage to them. And it's like, if I don't get to experience that, then why is it even there? If you don't let me get my experience for that, It's like I'm summoning for an Ultra that doesn't have an ink art. It's like I'm summoning for a Legends Limited, but like this is a Legend, so you got to give me that. You're promoting a premium thing that's new, make it feel like a premium thing that's new. All it feels like is Legends Limited units. And it's just, for a lot of these Legend units, they kind of look ugly as shit, to be frank. So it's like you're promoting something that's new, that's being more lazy within the artworks and all these other things. And the big prospect of it that's meant to be like the hard hitter, you don't ever get to even experience as often as you would in like prior years and prior eras and metas.
So you always have this, okay, how do we make this character effective? And it just always goes back to mechanic A, B, C, D, E, F, G have to be included every time. And a lot of those mechanics include these really obnoxious disrupt mechanics that in combination with the battle system just don't, in my opinion, contribute to a fun environment.
And just to say, they've also inflated it to where you experience these infinite things so often to where if a unit doesn't have these things, like let's say Legend Piccolo or Shallot or whatever, they don't have these mechanics, well, guess what? Then they suck. Then there's no reason to get them. So there's so many units that have these overwhelming broken mechanics that they keep regurgitating over and over again that are just so friendly for you to be, frankly, they let you be worse than you should be, and in turn, it makes the environment of the game worse. That's just what it does. But if you don't have those things, sort of hope, whatever the fuck these examples are, Diamond 3, Coup, whatever, then you just suck and there's no purpose to you. So it's either you have something broken because we've done so many broken things already, or you're in turn just not even coexisting in the world. And if we don't do the broken thing, then why even release you? So they've literally dug themselves in a hole that already existed that they were kind of digging themselves out of, but they redug it and made a new hole right next to it that's not as deep, but like it's becoming worse and worse and worse every single release.
So that is how I feel. And again, the basis of the discussion is going to be the overall lowering of the skill ceiling of the game. And I mean, we've talked about this before, right? We've always been in the camp of this game is really not competitive. I mean, the game launched with the Rising Rush mechanic. Instantly,
game isn't competitive, but in a different argument's sake, the game was much more dependent on you more than it was dependent on itself. Now everything feels like it's just, again, you're not, like I said already, you're not the main thing. You're the vessel for the automation and automatic things that are already happening. It's not, again, he's saying it's not a competitive game. He's right. But the game had a nature to it that was kind of, you're actually controlling it, which in turn feels more of a competitive environment and feels more of a like a PvP. You're playing as the person. Now it feels like you're playing against kind of just like the units. You don't feel like you're playing against the person. You feel like you're playing, like you could run a mirror team, but you don't feel like you're playing against the person. It usually feels like you're playing against the units. And you really wouldn't see that in the past. It was like, okay, it's a mirror, everything should be even, and we'll see what happens. You know, he gets his snipe out on his lock-in unit before I do. Okay, he just played that situation better. He got the better timing of that, and boom, that's what happened. But here, you're playing for timer waiting situations and automatic this after this happened, or you're losing because of this, and then this happens, and it's like, that's not competitive in any integrity, and it's not even like a game at that point. It's literally, you're just waiting for something to happen that is inevitability to happen. Other things, you were managing that within yourself, which is obviously much more healthy.
We know this is not a competitive game.
That's the past.
Right? I mean, that's super obvious.
The long past.
The game has feint. The game has paralysis. I did like that they took at least some initiative to change the way that paralysis worked. I did think that was cool.
Feint works much worse.
But there's just RNG around the corner on every side of this game. I mean, what cards the Dragon Balls are on? Do you have a full blast hand? Do you have a full strike hand? Maybe your Dragon Ball is attached to the blue card. Maybe your rush gets guessed. Maybe you have a Baba supporter that doesn't activate even though your rush gets guessed and your opponent's using a future team. There's a million different RNG factors that go into every single interaction in this game that it's very hard to take it seriously. And I don't know. That's what I'm.
You need to include my favorite.
These units become less serious is the issue within it. Everything he's saying is correct. This game is a joke within most aspects of it, of like thinking there's only so much you can control, but the control becomes even less of what it's been recently.
Favorite one the card that you need the most to win the fight gets destroyed. Like if you and your opponent
Or let's say your fighting someone has like a blast counter. Guess what? Your strike team will draw 4 blast cards next, and it feels like it's rigged. It'll feel the same opposite. They have a strike counter. You'll draw 4 strike cards next, and it's like, oh, really? But like if I'm fighting the same exact thing, and then that one character's not there, I'll draw even. I'll draw more of the opposite. I'll draw more of my main thing. Slot machine, man. It's a little this is a slot machine of a slot machine, sure. But again, it just felt more controlled when less automation exists.
or let's say your opponent has no vanish, they hit you. You're like, okay, I got a range blue card. After this is done, man, you're dead, buddy. I'm
They
gonna
destroy
kill
the
you if they
perfect
kill
card.
that card.
Yeah,
or you
your overdrive, or all 3 of your overdrives get guessed, and you just barely
sidestep
don't kill them.
sidestep to a blue card, sidestep to a countering green card. Like there's just layers upon layers upon layers of things that are outside of your control. You are at the mercy of the options the game gives you, not what actions you take. And for me, like you said, I think the downfall of it all was Battle System 2.7. I think the development team was thinking we need to limit.
But this issue already existed prior to the 7th year and all this new philosophy thing. It becomes more of a talking point because it's getting to the degree where it was prior, where it was just like very much you're not even fucking existing anymore there. It's just everything's already existing for you. And obviously you talk about like the UMV, Radhan, all these guys. The again, the baseline of this debate and debacle and this video is the same exact thing of what it was. But, then it was like, okay, we could just manage through it and we'll live and we'll exist and blah, blah, blah. But now that it's back again, it's like, did you not learn the fucking first time? Like, what happened?
How much expression comes from the players, because that gives them too much freedom to sort of bridge the gap between maybe some older characters and newer characters. And we need to make it more so that it's the characters that help win you the fights. Like you said, every character has all these different protections and gimmicks that can get them out of jail for free. But I think the biggest
Same terminology.
indicator that this was the way they wanted to go forward was the very first character we got after the 2.7 change was the instant transmission Goku. The guy who will, once he sidesteps, gets an AoE green. Like, it doesn't get any more obvious than that. And then do you remember when you and I were doing some testing with how punishing the vanish removal was?
Yeah.
What kind of things you could do?
Yeah.
Do you remember how it was you're both in neutral mid-range? If one person backs up and the other person goes for a tackle and you use a strike to match the tackle, you don't have vanish. So your opponent can simply dodge it and then hit you. But the only one who can get away from that is IT Goku, because he got 10% vanish when he used a strike card. So this punishing scenario that doesn't allow you to counter a common...
The fact that he remembers that specifically is kind of insane. I did not know that at all. That was like a sequence. That's
play
kind of that's a
you could
good
only
pull.
get around with
I did
the
not
new
remember that
character,
exact sequence
and
at
that's
all.
just the direction
Like
Legends
PTSD
has
for
decided
them.
to go. That's what it feels like
Yeah.
right
For
now.
us all.
I just want to add to that too, because battle version 2.7 was just the beginning. I think when you look at every I wish I had like references pulled up, but I just don't have them up right now. If you look at every single subsequent battle version update we've had since battle version 2.7, there has never been a single update besides the dynamic area battle system, which again I thought was a fantastic update. But in terms of just pure
Dynamic area battle system also gave us overdrive, which is literally a mini rush, which is also more RNG. So I'm not sure if I call that fantastic. I call the aesthetic of it fantastic. I wouldn't call the pushfulness of what it does fantastic, personally
battle
speaking.
system adjustments, there has not been a single update that has expanded the freedom of the player. They've all been restrictive. Removing vanish when you back up. Again, taking away perfect vanishes against blast at full screen. I don't really think that's a huge issue. We saw
It's a positive, I'd say.
combo compensation changes, which were a huge part of it, right? Right before the anniversary started, once you've comboed for too long, you can't switch between characters anymore. They drastically reduce the amount of card draw speed and queue recovery you get after only a very few amount of cards during a combo. So it's like they
Even then, just to really clarify, units can ignore these mechanics. They added restrictions to make these characters not be able to do what they don't want you to see and deal with. But yet, units can and have and will further ignore said restrictions. They were not good enough. I promise you, they can't do it because the one way you want to do it is going to be so improper to where you can't do shit with any unit. And it's like, okay, so what the fuck am I here for? But the way they did it now is also improper because you can infinite. You physically can. Does not matter how commonplace it is, it still exists as something that is potential, and that is still a problem.
have
Just saying.
Here's why it feels overly restrictive to me is they hit us with a double whammy effect. They tried to introduce this overarching, like almost like a government regulation where it's like, okay, you've comboed for too long, we're gonna come in and step in and tell you can't combo anymore. Basically is what they're doing.
Which is in
But then on
a
top
situation
of that,
good.
they heavily ramped up the amount of disrupt that characters have. I mean, you compare how much disrupt some of these new characters have versus characters that came out just end of 2025. I mean, it's like not even close. Like characters that came out 9 months ago have 1/5 of the amount of disrupt that these new characters have.
Get agile freeze.
So it's those disrupt mechanics in conjunction with the battle system changes to the point where, again, you have, okay, I have 3 different options I can choose from. And then once you've performed one of those 3 options, then the amount of options you have goes down to 1. And there are actually times where you literally you have 0 options. You have no vanish, you can't switch, your rising rush is sealed, your cards are destroyed. Like, you literally can't play the game at all. Like, actually 0 options left. That is not a good thing for the game. I mean, if you're going to be marketing the game as competitive,
it's kind of a mix here. I understand what he's saying with like the restriction of like being able to do more within a comboing setting and all that. And the issue isn't that the comboing is too frugal, because for most part it's not that frugal. It's just that the issue also turns into that you really can't stop that there's so much disruption going on for the most part. Again, I mentioned that there is the inevitability of there is still infinites in potential within themselves, and there is, but for also a big majority of the time, there's only so much you can do. I can only use 5 to 6 cards with my Legend Broly into my Legend Rose, and then I'm like, okay, well, I had a great time. Then I get to just sit there and just hope for something else to happen. And it's like, it's also a boredom factor of like, I want to fucking play. I'm here to play. That's why I download this, to fucking do something with my time here. So it's like a mixed bag of like, again, they can't really control and condense because then it doesn't really feel like anything, and it's kind of like what it is currently for most units. But then also, they haven't controlled the other aspect of it where it's condensing in any regard, because you could still do these other things that are just very much worse for the game. So they literally just don't know how to foundationally fix their biggest factor of playing, of just doing stuff. Like they nullify you doing stuff, and then when you are doing stuff, they don't make it productive enough and frugal enough to where it's actually effective enough to even do, and, well, enriching enough to your dopamine to even want you to do.
which, again,
very much a headache. Very much.
We've talked about this before. We've never been in the camp of this game being like seriously competitive at all. It's never been the case. But guess what? They are marketing the game as being competitive because they have the World Championship, right?
I would say World Championship markets this game as competitive. I mean, I guess there's a degree of it, but like, I watch these tournaments and stuff of these games that are not competitive, and they have these same exact vibes and multiple championships, and it's like, brother, like, they are not competitive in nature, but they're like forced of like the people that are playing it, like they agree to give the competitive integrity more of a limelight, and they like allow it. Legends players wouldn't do that. The devs don't care to do that, and you don't do that where you're trying to qualify for this big championship anyways. So the game doesn't even try to have its own integrity within competitiveness, which it could. It could take out Rush, it could take out Feint, it could take out Paralyze for the specific thing, but they don't, because they know it's not meant to be. But it's, again, treated as though, but it's never even taken as so, because they don't actually treat it that way in the fullest regard that they should.
That's them admitting and them wanting to push the competitive side of the game. Whether we think it's competitive or not, that is them actively trying to push it. So I don't know.
going back to the battle system stuff and furthering my point, they started, the better characters just became characters that disregard the battle system changes. Everyone that force draws cards now is a bare minimum to be good, right?
Yeah.
Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, the Saiyan Saga Goku, the Trunks and Gohan, Revival Gohan, like Android 17 Golden Frieza, like just everybody force draws cards
which is
because
part
they
of
You
the
use
have
the
to.
battle
infinitely
system.
going.
Yeah, they use the battle system
Which
as
is
a
the bad
way
part
to
again.
sort of
That's not in between.
suffocate the list of viable characters down to just the newest ones.
Yeah.
And that's just the direction that they wanted to go since the battle system changed. And then going to the skill-based point that you're making, yeah, we've always
And making it where the newest thing is the best thing isn't inherently bad, obviously. Yeah, no, I shouldn't want to have to, like, spend money and do all these things because it's the newest thing every single time. Don't want to have to do that. No one does. But it's like, it's a company. They make their money. They got to make money. Cool, great, awesome. Have fun with that. It's just the nature of how they do it is every single character is just one-upping in one degree, which is an important degree, but one degree, but everyone still stagnates to everything else. So it's like, it feels so fake to even do. It's not even like a big bump of like, wow, this unit's like so much better than this one. It's like, he's better. Okay, so you're gonna run him instead. But it's like he's barely better. But like he's better, so like you have to run him. But like he does everything the other guy does, but like he's just barely better. So like run him instead. And it's like, it doesn't even feel like it's like earned to do like that one up every single new release, because for the most part it's so similar to where you don't really like, you could disregard it, but like you can't disregard it enough because it actually does make an impact, but it does make an impact enough where it's significant of like a differential of what's going on. Again, it's a fucking headache. It's
been
just
in the
a fucking
ballpark
headache.
of it. There's not that much expression back at the beginning.
I want to
and
skip
it's
forward in this a
far
little bit
less
because we
even
have been
now,
going for a
but
hot minute
Certain
here.
degree, I think that's true. That's the truth. That's true, right? There is a certain skill ceiling that I think you have to have in order to consistently win a certain percentage of your matches.
I don't
But
disagree with that. It's
I
not
don't
high.
think that's, again, this goes back to what we were talking
not
about earlier.
high.
I don't think the skill ceiling is like it's just it's
You want what the skill ceiling is? The skill ceiling is from this controller, right, to where my hand is here. That the bottom is my hand. The skill ceiling is where the controller is. It's not a very high ceiling. It's not a competitive game. No one treats it like it. It's not gonna be. The skill ceiling is very fucking low. Just
it's
really to
way
point out.
too low. It's way too low. And then the difference, the delta in how your performance is above that skill ceiling, for the most part, is just RNG.
You
For the
don't
most part.
control.
And it's also just based off of character potential. Are the characters that you're using good enough? Are they meta characters? What is the typing of the characters? Do your characters have good typings? How many Zenkai buffs do they have? What are your equips? Skill can only get you so far in this game. And I really did feel the same thing about Hearthstone. And I think eventually with Hearthstone, again, I haven't followed the game
I have not played Hearthstone, but I think it literally is like
for a long time. But back when I used to follow it a lot, back when it was at its peak many years ago, is people would be following these tournaments. And after a certain amount of time, people started to realize that, yes, these players are definitely good at the game, but a lot of what's happening is simply just RNG. And I think after a long time, the game just began to not be as good as kind of like just masking how impactful skill actually was for the game. And they started to lean more into the RNG aspects of everything until it just became super uncompetitive. Anyone could beat anyone. And I really do feel like we're kind of at that point with this game as well. I seriously do feel...
Most people would say that, yeah. In this game, anyone can beat anyone. It used to be, listen, if you played a lot and you were just going through the motion and you played a lot, you just got better than people. And the skill ceiling was actually something that was like kind of like not just fucking this, but like maybe like fucking this. Like actually a differential that you could experience and tangibly feel that wouldn't happen, right? You wouldn't get beat by Joe Schmo 20 fucking 8,000 because guess what? The skill ceiling kind of coexisted. Even if you had the same team, same unit, same stars, you would just be better because you played more and you just had more experience, and then you knew the timings and you knew this, blah, 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 blah. Now, again, the benefit of losing is so much higher than the benefit of actually winning, to where you end up winning from losing. So it's like, it just negates the entire premise of what we already had. The foundation of what was already there has been nullified in every single thing as the game has progressed. And it's not gotten better ever. Maybe it's gotten more acceptable as time has progressed, because it's just, you accept that it's the case, right? You just are there, you're playing it, okay, whatever, fuck it. But it's not ever gotten better. And it's only gotten worse more recently within all these fucking dickheads here that just, if you play with the unit, you'll probably lose more than if you're just auto piloting the unit, and it doesn't make fucking sense.
We're not there yet, but we are heading to the direction where anyone can beat anyone in this game.
We're there. We're there.
I know what I like
I
to
actually
call this.
do think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that right there is a good quote. I call this the Call of Duty of fighting games. In Call of Duty, anyone can get a kill. It's an arcade shooter. You could be horrible at your aim, but
I understand this
it's
premise.
designed for you to be able to get that. They deliberately try to lower the skill ceiling as an arcade shooter, just so that you can get that dopamine.
I understand the premise again. As much as I'd love to watch all 32 minutes of this, I feel like this video might be like 2 hours long if I do. So let me just skip around here for a bit here.
And then you flip over the top card, whoever's card is higher wins. Like, it's just completely RNG. So you have a scale from War, the card game, to chess. So you have complete RNG based game with no skill at all the way over to a game that is completely skill based with no RNG at all. If you're gonna put Legends on that scale, I'm putting it at like a 2.
Yeah, it's
like very RNG heavy, super RNG heavy. And again, it's not completely RNG based, as it doesn't take 0 skill, but the skill ceiling, like, as long as you understand.
If you can argue anyone can beat anyone, I'd say the game takes 0 skill. I mean, I've never thought, even when the game technically people would argue this game took skill, I would never argue this game took a lot of skill. You know, I'm talking like first year, prior to first year, all those times, right? The olden days, the golden days, people would say, for a lot of people that played back then compared to when they're playing now, or if they quit recently or whatever. There's never been skill, really. I mean, learning a timing is not a skill in my eyes, because like there's only so many, right? They could wait 1 second, they could wait half a second, and then they could just, not even sidestep, and then, wow, you learned their timing, or they've switched their timing, and it's like, that literally is RNG. If someone switches their timing or not, it could be seen as RNG because it's just random when they're going to do it, because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. You could still get beat by people that are shittier than you at the point. It's just harder because, again, units didn't do everything for you, crutch for you, but you could still lose to just random dickhead 21, because guess what? He just didn't know what the fuck he was doing. One time he waited 10 years, and one time he waited 0 seconds. And it was like, wow, is he a genius, or is he just so stupid that it fucking worked? That has just accelerated to more of hell, and within everything going for you, well, it's literally fucking hell, and that's why I'm reacting instead of actually fucking playing, because it's
the
fucking
character's
hell.
abilities, as long as you understand how the game works, the different timings on when interactions happen. That's pretty much it. I mean, again, it is a mobile game, so I don't expect it to be super, super skill intensive, but it is very low on the scale. But the good thing about that is it is very, very new player friendly. A new player can pick up this game and learn it in a month, which is pretty quick. I mean, not everyone has a month to dedicate to a mobile game, but if you're serious about getting into the game, I think it's pretty easy to learn.
But that's the question, though. If you're serious about getting into the game, why would I ever get serious about getting into a game that rewards me for just ignorance? I mean, what do you call it? Where you're rewarded for being worse? You would be ignorant, right? Like, compared to someone that's better, you're less knowledgeable of what's going on usually, and you're more ignorant. But you will get rewarded for ignorance now. I would never promote something of this, because it's like, what, you don't feel a benefit of learning from it. Like, sure, you learn the basics of like sidestep, charge step. Okay, cool, great. Fucking Trunks could teach you that shit. Literally, like, awesome, have fun. But the actual depth of it, there's really none, air quotes for a reason, is, it's not even tangible. I feel like you really don't feel a reward for actually being in play. You used to, but you don't. And a month, sure, I guess, but like, what actually is your reward in that? Like, I just don't feel like you get rewarded for winning in the current environment. And that's like, why the fuck am I even on this shit then? Like, that's the question you would ask yourself.
There are some things that probably take a bit more practice, like charge stepping, and
Again, I'd like to just expedite this a little bit.
Outside of the dynamic area battle system, every single battle system adjustment has been restrictive. Every single one. So eventually we get to a point where it's just like I can't even like control my units anymore.
You got too much faith, buddy. That update is gonna say if you want to sidestep going forward, you need the Legends Pass.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you got too much faith. I think this is what they want. If the easiest thing that they could do right now that would please majority of the player base is just revert 2.7. Still have the combo comp. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people will also be pleased with less everything done for you. People actually would be mad about that because, well, to put it bluntly, people that are worse are winning against people that are better. So people will be mad that they can't do that as easily because everything's not done for you. But I also feel like people would be happy that, okay, this infinite cancel buff effect, this infinite endurance, this infinite safety, this infinite automatic shit is getting pushed back against. I mean, again, I'd actually see a lot more backlash against it because people like their easiness, right? Everyone's here because they want a little dopamine kick, or they want a fake dopamine kick, or whatever the fuck they get. They're here because they can bully someone that's not running, the most broken bullshit ever, and they could just bully because they're just running that. But like reversion, I don't. Is that even a word? Reverting, I don't. Sure, it would benefit. I just don't feel like you would feel that significance as much as you feel like a mixture of like everything at once. Like if it changes to be something that's more positive of like gameplay sense, you'd have to do it all at once. Little baby steps, you wouldn't feel it. You wouldn't even acknowledge it. You'd leave the game before you'd actually acknowledge it and feel it, and it would take too long. It's either it happens at once or it doesn't happen, and it most likely won't happen. It's just what it is.
Restrictions that we got.
They think they made a perfect
effects that we got
type of game.
But let people move freely so they can be more comfortable.
They have not.
I know that the biggest argument for people is it promotes passive play, but right now we got one or two sides. One, it is the quote-unquote passive play, which, by the way, backing up isn't always just a passive
Also, you're
play.
still promoting
Like,
passive play now, even without backing up.
I vanish and you
So
got an AoE green. Am I supposed to, like, some plays, the smarter play is to get away from you. Sometimes it's just the better idea. There are scenarios where it's not strictly being passive, it's just we need to establish distance because you probably have an AoE green or
I
some
agree with
other
this premise. Yes, yes, there is reason to not technically be passive within this, but in turn, you are just playing in a proper way where you're not actually just always in their fucking face, and you play in a stylistic sense where you have a bit more depth, which again is lacked here when we get to the end of this.
I'm in mid-range. Let me YOLO a ranged green. Right? I'm in mid-range. Let me YOLO an AoE green. I'm in mid-range. Let me YOLO a blue. That stuff never worked before. Right?
Mid-range strikes.
You could never just,
all you do is them
full
now.
screen. Let me YOLO an
You
overdrive
should be
full
doing
screen.
mid-range strikes. So ironically enough, because you do mid-range blast, you're
Go for
getting
a full
fucked
screen strike.
anyways.
Full screen strikes used to be like actually just like you just don't understand the game if you go for a full screen strike. But
Now.
it works now. Why?
Yeah.
Because you can't really do anything.
Yeah.
characters are-
Again, the premise of this video, I agree with completely of what it is of like skill issue. Yes, clearly, but like there just isn't any skill to be as had as there once was. Again, I'll keep repeating that there really isn't a high bar in this fucking fuckassery that we play. But still, it existed to a degree where it just felt more tangible and it felt like you really were there instead of like everything being done for you. And again, there's no reverting that's going to happen to this. There's no change that's going to happen from this. They're not going to adjust this. They think they made something that's very accessible to people, which it is accessible, but in turn, that accessibility actually ruins it for people that are already there. So for Legends' notoriety's sake, they always do this where they harm their more veteran person. And, here's your automatic stuff. And then the person that was playing, for 8 years straight, guess what? They're going to lose to this fucking guy because he got out automatic. He didn't actually play worse. This guy actually played dumber, but he got like those lucky situations that just kind of happen from time to time because the game is less it has more stringency on itself to where you don't really get to determine what you do half the time because you don't really have much you can do anymore. And then you're benefiting someone that's new, which they like because like they'll stay on the game more, they'll spend money, they'll do this, they'll benefit. Sure, but there's a middle ground somewhere. There always is. They probably won't ever hit it, but there is. Let me know what you guys think of my reaction to Aggression Raiden's skill issue video. I'll see you guys in the next one.